Welcome back to Media 7. Our panel's still with us, but first, if you've driven around Auckland, you may have seen billboards that carry not the usual prayers to consumerism, but short messages from God. Simon Pound found out who's behind them.
In the past, all Christianity did to advertise was throw up some lovely great churches and offer eternal salvation. Times change. Now you find messages from God on billboards. What's that about?
Excuse me, sir, can I ask you what you think of that billboard?
Great.
It's great?
I don't know what it means, though.
You don't know what it means?
No.
Or who do you think's behind it?
I hear it's a wealthy businessman behind it.
Almost. This campaign is the conception of Judy and Greg Gibson, real estate agents in the eastern suburbs.
It really came from just wondering how we could reach this generation with the Christian message. And we got talking about that, and Judy recalled really how she first became interested in the Christian faith, and that was from seeing a billboard on the side of the Baptist Tabernacle.
Ran into a church and got down on my knees and said, God, what does that mean? If you're real, I want to know about it.
Why is it there?
I think they're trying to make people think about God.
Oh. I thought it was a joke, but I just didn't get the joke.
We've had some good feedback. From
really all positive feedback.
It's actually been all positive.
It doesn't make me think of anything, and I don't know what it's advertising.
Yes, there's been a little bit of negative feedback. We've got abusive email saying, what right do we have to be putting these messages around town, and how can we sign them off as God? But that's very minor. That'll be less than 1% probably.
Writing in God's voice is pretty audacious, even for advertising. Daryl Parsons, who was behind many TUI Yeah Right billboards, was the creative with that challenge.
Every time a new brief comes through and I say, oh, can we have a few more of these billboards? I will go into like a big bit of depression for 2 or 3 days because I don't feel like I can be the voice of God. So in the end, you just go, well, fuck it, if there is a God, he'll put the right words into my head and I'll just put them down.
Those words are working. They get attention, and that's not easy.
Hi, can we ask you a question about this billboard? No? Question about... No?
Just makes people think about it if they want to, if they see it and think about it. Okay, bit of rush.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
There's been a lot of people taking photos of it, wondering what it's all about. Yeah.
So it's kind of working on some level?
Must be, yeah.
So it's causing intrigue, and at this stage, that's exactly what Judy and Greg are after.
Came to a decision very early on that we did not want any strings attached. We don't have a sign-off because we probably take some of the mystery out of it as well. Becoming a Christian is a journey, it's a process, and a seed needs to be sown, and really that's our part to play, is sowing a seed.
Simon Pound with that report, which I am sure will be considered in context. Lindsay, what did you make of the billboards? Is that a nice idea?
Well, if people
I'm sure there's going to be someone out there who thinks it's blasphemous.
If people don't... Well, I don't know about that. But if people don't get it, I sort of say, what's the point? Somebody sent me a card just recently, for Mother's Day, actually, so you can tell who it would be. And it said on the front, Jesus is coming, and it said inside, look busy. Now, I thought that was pretty good, actually. But if people don't get the point, I really would have to say, they're wasting their money.
One thing I wanted to ask you is what you made of the Danish cartoons, which were run in a couple of New Zealand newspapers last year. Did you speak out about those?
Oh, yeah, we did. We did. We stood in solidarity with our Islamic sisters and brothers,
because to me,
as they did with us.
To me, the difference was there that this was something that was arriving on people's front doorsteps. They were selling it from their shops, whereas South Park was something that you had to go to a minority channel at 9:30 at night and sit through a warning to see. Do you accept that there's a difference?
There's a difference, yes, sure. But it doesn't... I think the degree of offensiveness is still the same. No, I actually didn't like the idea of the Danish cartoons, but, is of course... And I don't think that we know that the makers of South Park sort of drew the line when it came to sending up Islam, because they had that episode, didn't they, where they had Muhammad... the cartoon in the context that Dominic thinks is okay, with Muhammad actually defecating on the American flag, and they thought, no, that's a bit risky, so they changed they changed Muhammad to Jesus.
Well, to be fair, Dominic doesn't think it's okay, Lindsay. You know as well as I do, there are 4 members of the authority, the staff don't. don't make the decisions. They're full members of the authority, government appointed. So it's not my personal opinion.
Let's also be clear that with those Danish cartoons that they were printed and there was no complaints at all for 9 months, and then they were reprinted, and then there was a small group of fundamentalists who circulated with other pictures that hadn't even been printed in it, which depicted Muhammad with the head of a pig and all that sort of thing, that stirred up a huge amount of controversy and turned what was a very malign thing into a massive worldwide story and protests and burnings. Once again, it was a group of people going mental over something rather than the thing itself. The thing itself doesn't cause a huge amount of fuss.
That's the whole question of the difference between sort of reasoned and appropriate protest, peaceful protest, and protest that, of course, is done in that way that's violent. And that's why I think Christianity, and particularly the Catholic Church, is a fair butt and target for this kind of thing, because we do try to engage in reasoned and intelligent debate and go through the normal processes of the law and so on. We don't go and threaten to burn down and all the rest of it.
Well, I hope we've been reasoned and appropriate tonight. I wish we could talk longer because it's fascinating, but we are going to have to go now. And that's our show for this week. Thanks to our panellists, Dominic Sheehan, Lindsay Freer and Oliver Driver. Thanks. And thank you for watching. We'll be back at the same time next week with Media 7. Until then, goodbye.